Hey guys, how you doing? It's VaulSC here. I want to spend a bit of time talking about Destiny 2. Been playing for around about a week now, ever since it became free on the Blizz client, and had a really good time with it. What I want to spend a bit of this morning talking about today is the transition between the basic vanilla Destiny 2, which is free, which you can just download if you've got the hard drive space for 70-80 odd gigs, and the expansion Forsaken. So what you can do is you can spend some money buying a package of expansion material, which obviously includes the Forsaken thing, which is the most recent one that came out, but the two other little expansions, Curse of Osiris and Warmind.
There's about to be a swarm of thrall on top of us.
I'm just going to open up the map just for people who already have downloaded the game. And this video is really for people who have maybe spent a few days playing through the basic material and are thinking about picking the expansion up, like I did. So when you first buy, when you first download for free Destiny 2, you basically have, I think, 4 areas unlocked. There's Earth, so the EDZ, the European Dead Zone. Then you travel to, obviously, Nessus and, well, Titan first and Io. So these 4 planets, Io, Titan, Earth, and Nessus, are open to you, and you explore those 4 different areas. And then it's a matter of, beating the bad guy Dominus Ghaul and his big red spaceship and working through the single-player campaign. If you haven't already downloaded Destiny 2, and even if you like the look of this game even a little bit, I'd really recommend it, because in terms of free content, you can't really do too much better than a game like this, which is a game which did sell for quite a lot and is worth quite a lot of money, and now it's for free. So if you do have the hard drive space and you've got some time, you should definitely get it. But the question is really for people who have already, played through the basic content and are thinking, well, maybe I should go in and grab the expansions. And I think that there is definitely a case to be made for not getting the expansions and spending any more money on it and just going back to other games that you play. And there's also a case, obviously, for buying it as well, and I want to talk about that a little bit more. The thing about the base game and the single player is that once you've done it, and there's not a lot of replayability there. I completed it from doing maybe 3 or 4 days of playing it pretty solidly. No, not like really just speed rushing my way through it, but I did put a fair bit of time into it. And had a really good time, and I think you guys will as well. But if you're looking for a completely different experience from the expansions, you probably won't really get that. I mean, it unlocks, like I said, 2 extra planets, which have a small amount of extra area and subquests to do. And then obviously the Tangled Shore area where you do the Forsaken material, which is a bit bigger. There are some new weapons. I quite like using the bow, which I didn't get in the initial version of the game. I don't think it's available with just Destiny 2 vanilla. But that's about it. So if you are basically hooked on another game at the moment, whether it's World of Warcraft or Overwatch or whatever else you're playing, and you saw this as a standalone experience, and you're wondering about spending the money on the expansion, but know that you won't be, if you know that you won't be spending any more than a few days or a week on it, I'd probably recommend not going down that path, because I think that the main reason to get the expansion material is if you're going to be playing Destiny 2 as your main game for weeks and weeks and months down the track, and looking forward to further DLCs and seeing how that goes. Apparently, this is just from what I've been reading and watching on YouTube, when Destiny 2 first came out for the first time, right? People really loved it initially. Then after a few months, everybody had just played through all the Destiny 2 base content and apparently weren't that happy with it, just because there wasn't really a lot of replayability and content there. And then when the 2 little expansions came out, the Curse of Osiris and Warmind, which people had to pay for, they didn't really add a lot to the game either. And it's only just recently, when Forsaken came out, that they made an expansion that a lot of people really liked. They added a lot of things and features that added a lot of depth, well, relatively speaking, more depth to the game than the previous expansions had. And that's why the game's in a decent state at the moment. But people are kind of worried that there'll be a lot more microtransactions coming in, and the further expansions after this won't be as good. My reason for buying Forsaken and having the expansions there is that I wanted to play a lot of multiplayer. So I wanted to play in the PvP mode Gambit. And you do need to really level up your character and get a lot of the extra guns to have some small advantages over other people. Otherwise, you don't have all of the perk options from that some of the guns give you. So that's one of my reasons for buying the expansion. Also, if you're planning on playing this game not just for a few more days, but for weeks or so forth, you're going to be playing with a lot of other people who have all the extra content, and they may want to sort of replay areas and go through areas that you won't be able to go through unless you have the expansion. So again, it's just what it comes down to is a toss-up between, hey, am I going to spend another few days playing the game, and then am I going to go back to World of Warcraft or Overwatch or the other game I played, or is this going to be my main game now that I'm going to grind for a long time? And I think if you can answer that question, you'll have no difficulty deciding whether or not to buy the game or not. It's relatively cheap for what it is. I paid what's the equivalent of $40 American. It was $60 in New Zealand currency, which is where I'm from. And the content that I got for that was well worth it, considering that I'd already, got the base game for the free. So I felt like it was more like me spending that money on having the whole set, right? So having the base game plus the expansions. And for that price, you definitely get your money's worth there. As far as the various game modes go, I mean, you can play Gambit, which I quite enjoy, PvP, which I have found difficult to get into, but the thing about playing Crucible is that you get thrashed initially, like you're absolutely getting crushed. But that's because you're playing against other people who are familiar with the maps, they're familiar with the guns, they're familiar with the abilities, they know what all the class abilities are and what they can do, and very familiar with the movement. And it's just a matter of familiarity. So after a few days of playing Crucible and just picking away at it and having a go and then getting thrashed and then coming back to it, I've found that I've improved a lot just from getting used to it, so to speak. So that's one game mode which I feel like I put a lot of time into, just like I put a lot of time into playing, Overwatch against other people. As far as this game being a first-person shooter, I played a lot of the Doom 2016 game. I streamed that a lot as well. Really enjoyed that. And I find that I can get my fix from this as well in terms of PvE. Like, if you just want to blow off some steam, go around killing some monsters without necessarily achieving any quests or rewards or whatever it is, you can just hop on the game and shoot some monsters up and then go back to doing whatever you're going to do. So in that sense, it's very rewarding. For those people who haven't really played much of this game at all, I mean, I think for me the thing I like most is the visuals. You look at the graphics, the colors, the music, done pretty well. Like any game, you're going to get used to it. It's going to be repetitive. That's okay. Other than that, not too much more I have to say about it for now. If you guys like watching the kind of stuff that I put out, just feel free to give me some feedback. As always, I'm on Twitch, so hit up the video description for Twitch. You can belong to a clan in this game, just like in a lot of games, so I've set one up for people. If you want to be part of mine, you're welcome to. And hopefully, after experiencing this game a bit more, I should be able to put out some reviews and thoughts to get a bit more detail, so looking forward to doing that as well. But for now, hope you guys like Destiny 2 as much as I'm enjoying it at the moment. Hopefully it has a bit more to give. And we'll be looking closer to see what sort of DLC and expansions they come up with next. There's something coming out pretty soon, I believe. So maybe there'll be more to talk about pretty shortly.